Intel. If you look at Intel and go to, this is how to switch to daily. It's supposed to be my monthly chart. If you look at Intel and anchor to the IPO, look where this move just occurred from. I mean, it's pretty insane how well it holds value and for how long. So going back to SpaceX, what I always do is the very first moment it starts trading, I put an anchor on that first minute of trading. And then I'll put an anchor on the second minute of trading after about 10 minutes. And the reason for that is that first print is a negotiated print. It's all the people who are matched up. Where it opened at 135. It opens on its largest volume. You won't see a higher volume bar. Most likely, well, maybe when they add it to the NASDAQ, you won't see a higher volume bar than that. So that's a negotiated transaction at 135. It matches up buy on the open versus sell on the open. So that is not free market trading the way I see it. And oftentimes that, in just for the first day, it'll be important to anchor from that second minute. As we start to see a day and a half, 2 days worth of data, you can just default it to the anchor from the IPO. So when we see that, that's what we want to do, is anchor to the IPO. And while we're above it, so we had initial volatility. It's very similar to an earnings report. Anchor to the open of the earnings, and for a day or two, it might chop around there, but then the buyers take control. What we want to see is, do the buyers maintain control? A healthy IPO, if this was a healthier after market action, it would have done something like this, right? Instead, we ramped it up, gapped it down. We came on Tuesday morning, pre-market, it actually touched this anchor. So it doesn't count, I guess, but it was there and it was actually trading there. And I was saying, listen, be careful. It's just run from 150 to 172. It's just run, 10+%. Where has it come from? Where does it have the potential to go? Is that anchor as well as the anchor off of the high. So the high actually occurred here, but I want to put my anchor at the beginning of that day because I want the psychology and the average price of everyone from that day. So I was looking, and I'm still looking at this as, here's a potential supply zone. If we see future rallies, let's say Monday it starts doing this, if it rallies up into this zone, I look at that as a level of interest to say, okay, let's say I bought it here and I'm looking at this. Now it comes into this zone. I'm going to treat that as, now I'm going to use my 2-minute exit. If it, undercuts the 2-minute bar low, I'm going to sell some and I'm going to get aggressive. I'm not going to keep a stop way down here or even here. Maybe I'm going to look at it and say, I'll sell half of the position. And then if it builds a higher low, then I'll raise my stop up under here. So that's the way I want to look at the blue one, by the way, is the month to date, which I always leave on there. And that was just Friday's action. This was the week to date from last week. So what I also have here to look at is the anchor off of the low. So from the lowest it's traded post that first 10-minute bar, that the anchor is right in here. So it's telling me that, the sellers are pretty much in control from the IPO and from the highest point. Now we're trying to find buyers in this zone where it kind of opened, breaking below here. If it did something like this, they add it to the NASDAQ and it does this, then you're probably going to see it quickly drop to 135 or whatever. But, that's just the way I'm looking at the probabilities of it. I'll let market action dictate. So anyways, it made its higher high above the flat to rising 5-day moving average right here and rallied right to where it was supposed to, meaning the anchor from the IPO in the pre-market.
Perfect. And do you handle IPOs any differently than a more mature company, or is it's all based, it's all the kind of same thing for you?
I pretty much the same. I'll look at them. When I look at IPOs, we had a couple this week. Lime was one of them. This one actually is a little bit under what my typical, it's the scooters. Everybody knows who it is. So I decided to watch this one. But there were two others. I generally look at it and say, who's the investment bank?